Okay, it's Tuesday, June 13th. This is end of the day SPY recap, and today we get a continuation day to the upside, a two-up day after the nice green day yesterday to start the week. We were expecting the highs of that day to be taken out. We kind of gapped up there, and we end up with a green bar. Now, in terms of the actual structure on the day, you can see we had some economic, the CPI release early in the pre-market range between the blue lines kind of started the market up near the highs to begin with. If you look at the pre-market range here, we started right near the highs, and then we had our first green bar of the day, the 15-minute chart, kind of move up a little bit and then just pause. And if you look at the rest of the day, essentially between the high and low of the first bar, we stayed inside that bar all day long. So this wasn't necessarily easy trading in any way, shape, or form in terms of you'd look back on the chart and say it was a green day and very easy to to play continuation, but that wasn't the case. And if you look, I'll show you some individual stocks that really didn't move up. Some did, some didn't, but it was a tricky day. So in terms of structure, really the only thing it's not even clear exactly what to do. I think that the trade to take, which I didn't take, was that initial, you're not doing anything on the first bar. Then we came down for two bars. You're not looking to go short because you're not below the midpoint of the prior day. There's a little red to green move right here. You could have bought if you were just going to play the index outright and see if you can move strongly above the intraday high. You got up there. That's your first target. You could scale out, set up an over-risk trade, and then at that point, everything just kind of went sideways. I just thought maybe get a deeper pullback. I bought some puts here, but I was very nimble on it after taking out the highs of the day and not seeing any follow through. I thought maybe get a pullback. So I just wanted to test that out. And I shot a video how I broke even there. So again, I'm going counter trend here. I know it's not a trade I'm not excited about. That's why you can get in and out real quickly. Then there was another sell, trade that developed right here. And I discussed that on a second video. And that one actually did move down. At that point, you had some good liquidity. When you were buying puts here, you had the low of the day as the liquidity. Then once this area failed, moving above the intraday high, you had kind of two bars of liquidity. So that was a little more promising. And it did come down there. And I was able to scale out there and take some gains and then just kind of take small gains on the rest of the trade. So it's not like the indexes really gave you much of an opportunity for much today, depending how you wanted to play it. The aggressive counter trend trades, I'm not going to even say needed to be taken. And the buy here really didn't give you much once it reached its first target. So if you and the thing was, when you kind of looked at individual stocks, the reason I wasn't excited to go long on that red to green move, if you look at like Netflix, for example, that came down, it had two failures and then a big red bar. So I just didn't feel great about, the market in general. I was watching a lot of stocks. My Broadcom stock, which I bought yesterday, went down big and then just kind of grinded up. And you can see here that kind of settled in for the day and didn't do much. And stocks like, Coinbase, I was looking at different reasons, but that one wasn't doing much. And even Nvidia, which is a nice stock, that one had an actual decent buy above the first bar high that didn't really go that much further. It took a few hours before it even tried to move. And Tesla was another stock that I actually did buy, and I bought it here on this breakout above its intraday high, and that kind of gave me a nice little small gain, but didn't follow through all that much. So you have a lot of exhaustion risk. I'll kind of wrap it up in this way. The weekly chart now is up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like the fifth week in a row heading higher and higher. So for this market to really turn to the downside, I was kind of looking back just as an example. You can look over here when the market was also up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row. And then you see this red reversal bar. That's the type of thing I'm kind of monitoring for over here before we possibly have a little bit of a pause and a pullback. And if you're going to look at that, for example, go back on this area. This is August of 2022, for example, and just kind of look at how the daily chart unfolded during that time. This is August 2022, when it really Let me get it here. Yeah, when the high was made here in August, you could see that price kind of came up just like it's doing now in the daily chart. You had one down day, a two down day, but that didn't even follow through. Then you had the inside day. Then you finally had a red bar here. So it took like 2 times to try to fail before you can confirm that you had the weekly reversal bar. Where is it? You're right up in here. And then that led to a pretty big decline. So until we get some kind of weekly reversal bar, I'm not really excited about going short, and I still see targets the upside. And if you look at the daily chart, we haven't even had a 2 down bar yet. So even though we kind of failed, we kind of just stayed neutral today inside that first bar all day long, we're still not anywhere near a 2 down bar. We're heading up higher on the monthly chart, which I'll conclude with. Since we kind of came up and reached a key target here and we didn't really fail, you got to just kind of think we're heading up to these higher, to the next time frame targets. That's the thing. When you hit the key target on a higher time frame, that could be a big area to fail. Instead, we pause there and we're heading higher. So that just shows you we're trying to broaden out maybe on a higher time frame until proven otherwise. But in the meantime, you do have a little bit of exhaustion risk in play on this weekly chart. So I'd almost like to see a weekly kind of failure that doesn't really, fills in some of these gaps and then gets the weekly reversal up again. And on the daily chart, to trade this comfortably, I'd almost rather see a daily kind of failure and then a 2 up because there's no real actionable signals going on now. You have the continuity of the upside, but you kind of have exhaustion risk. So that's what makes it tough. So you just got to keep looking for individual stocks. And for now, the trend is still up. More economic news tomorrow, and we'll just see what develops. But today was a little tricky day. But I broke even on finally what was it for? Yeah, DocuSign was the first trade I made. I bought it here, and I decided to even break even on that one, given that it wasn't following through, and that's why I wasn't that excited. Nothing I was watching was really heading up strongly. So until later on in the session, like Tesla, when it finally started to move. So anyway. That kind of wraps up today. Big day, a day that gapped up but pretty much stayed within the first bar all day, so it made things tough. But you shouldn't have got hurt whether you traded the indexes in some form or picked some individual stocks.